Hello, I am Paul Wood and I help make complex, confusing, overwhelming anxiety-related issues, symptoms and disorders simple and solvable. So in today's video, we're going to speak about recovery and whether recovery is difficult, whether it's easy, to lay out the path ahead of you so you can see it clearly right now. So recovery, is it difficult? Is it hard? Is it challenging? Is it impossible? Yep. Well, firstly, as you think about the word recovery, let's kind of make a distinction between my blueprint for recovery and your blueprint for recovery. So when the word recovery, solving this problem comes up, how do you feel? Yep. How do you feel in yourself? Do you feel tense? Do you feel conflicted? Do you feel unsure? Because you can have three different reactions when someone talks about that type of issue. You're either going to have a kind of cognitive, rational reaction where you're going to think about, that doesn't make sense, or I don't know what it is, or I don't think it works, or it does make sense, or it does make, it is the only way to move forward. So you're going to have some sort of cognitive reaction, but that's only going to be based on your own experience. So it's not particularly accurate in any way. And secondly, you're going to have an emotional reaction. You may immediately feel tense. You might feel uncomfortable. You might feel motivated. You might feel excited, but you're going to have an emotional reaction. And again, that's not really going to be based on facts or evidence. It's much more going to be based on probably how you're feeling today. If you're feeling in an uncertain state, then when someone talks about doing something new or different, then you're immediately going to tense up and feel uncomfortable if that's the tendency and the reaction that you have. And thirdly, your mindset. How is your mind going to focus on these experiences? Because it's very, very likely that it may focus on it in a way that narrowly lets you see it from one angle, but doesn't really see the broader picture. For example, it may focus on the perspective of thinking, of focusing on the symptoms are just overwhelming. So it may focus it from a kind of macro perspective of just feeling so overwhelmed, that the problem is so huge that you cannot do anything about. So let's shrink that down for a moment, because recovery is focusing on the cause of your anxiety. What nearly all people do is we focus on the symptoms. We focus on our experience of anxiety, which is obviously totally normal because that's what we experience every single day. And from that, we then follow those three patterns and get kind of caught in a state of resistance, where it feels, we think, and we have a mindset where recovery or solving this issue becomes something totally different to what it is. Because let's focus on firstly that our symptoms are going to be massively overwhelming. We're going to have all kinds of mental, emotional, physical, behavioral symptoms that are going to be huge over time. That's just simply how it is. But knowing that we don't have to solve any of those symptoms at all of those symptoms go away indirectly as our anxiety reduces. As our anxiety goes away, as our stress hormones are not pumped into our blood, all the while as our brain becomes less reactive, as we feel calmer, as we react less, then we sleep better, then we've got more energy, cognitively our mind's clearer. Every single symptom that someone has in existence goes away when you focus on the cause of your anxiety. So knowing that in itself, one mindset issue people can have is we focus on the overwhelming experiences we've had over the past rather than the reality of, nearly all my clients have complex, debilitating, overwhelming, confusing, frustrating problems. And very often they've been going on for decades. But, it still means that really 90% of the challenge, is just that resistance. So 90% of the challenge is you having all these things going on, you feeling, thinking, having a mindset about your anxiety, about how it is, about what it is, and being able to still take a step forward and saying, that's, based on that evidence. But realistically, if I can break through that resistance and commit to recovery, then the only way is up. And that's really the biggest challenge that people have, making that transition from seeing that your experience is your experience, and I'm not denying that, but facts are facts. And there's three cornerstones to your recovery, and every single person I've met over the past 11 years, thousands of people, including myself, who focus on those things will get better and better and better and will recover for life. So it's knowing in yourself, recovery is much easier than what you're doing already. Management is unbelievably hard. It wears us out. It tires us out. It's exhausting. It's painful. It's debilitating, and we have to do it for our entire life. So managing these symptoms daily is 100 times harder than it is to focus on recovery. But the only issue there is, the only conflict is, we can continue managing by doing nothing. We can just go in that direction without doing anything. Whereas recovery is a bit more uncertain. Recovery, you have to make a decision. Recovery, you have to kind of, draw a line in the sand and say, today is that time. Now is that time. I've simply had enough. Not another year of all these issues affecting me in such a negative way, holding me back. Yeah, it's not worth managing. It's not worth carrying like a burden when I can be free from it, much more easily than I think is possible. So, when clients come and see me, most people are skeptical. Most people are a bit confused. Most people are a bit overwhelmed. And, the first challenge after they've made that commitment, which is probably the most important decision that they can make, the first challenge really is just improving over a period of time in a way that they never have before. Yeah, because even over the past 10 weeks, if you'd have improved every single week and you'd focus on those 3 things, and not just by talking to me or not by me doing some kind of clever therapeutic trick, but by you understanding, us talking about it, having a practical conversation, you seeing that if you focus on those 3 things, everything changes. And that effect building and building, and you feeling better and better and better. And then by week 8, maybe to week 10, you feel better than you have in years and years and years. And you know exactly what you have done to achieve that. Well, it's very, very likely that you're going to continue in that direction for the rest of your life because, why wouldn't you? It takes less effort than management. You feel much better. And it's just a much more rational choice to make. So, that's really the challenge, where what you're doing right now is probably 100 times harder than recovering from these issues will be. But the biggest challenge is it's easier to coast in that direction because you've been moving that direction for the longer term. Yeah. But if you can break through that resistance and make a commitment to recovery, then the next step is just improving week on week, which everybody does, to the point where then your confidence is then high that you have mastered it, that you know exactly what you're to do to conquer the cause of your anxiety so that all of the symptoms reduce in proportion to that. Yeah, cool. Awesome. So however complex or overwhelming your anxiety symptoms are, knowing yourself that the cause is always simple. And if you focus on the cause, however complex, however debilitating, however confusing, how many decades that they've gone on for, they will still reduce. They will still get better regardless. Cool. Take care, guys.